This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Liberal wave. Nova Scotia voters paint 10 of the province's 11 federal ridings red.
Code of conduct. The province updates its school policy to prioritize safety.
And the Keogh Forum. A renamed Cape Breton Arena welcomes players to the ice.
Mild temperatures continuing to build in for Wednesday. We'll see some showers on tap, but some sunshine, especially into the afternoon. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. Voters in Nova Scotia delivered a resounding endorsement to the incumbent Liberals in the 45th federal election.
The party held on to its commanding position here in the province.
The party has won 10 of the province's 11 seats. The CBC has projected the Liberal Party will form its fourth consecutive federal government and second consecutive minority government.
But many of the races were close, including for Liberal Sean Fraser in the riding of Central Nova. The former cabinet minister suffered a scare early in the night as he trailed Conservative Bryson Jenkins.
But as advanced polling numbers started to roll in, Fraser inched ahead to a fourth consecutive victory. He says it's time for the parties to work together.
Canadians do not want us to continually talk about what's wrong with the other party that we may be competing against. They want us to put our ideas on the table and work together to get things done. I heard that message loud and clear in my own community, and it's a lesson I'm going to take back to Ottawa going forward.
In the last federal election, the Liberals took 8 of the 11 seats in Nova Scotia.
Votes continued to be counted well into Tuesday, but the final calls have now been made. The CBC's Taryn Grant has more on the lone Conservative who was able to hang on in Nova Scotia.
Chris D'Entremont is going back to Ottawa.
We've got a lot of work to do as a party. We have a lot of work to do as MPs across this great province.
While the rest of Nova Scotia went red, D'Entremont is the only Conservative in the province who was able to hold their ground. Incumbents Rick Perkins in South Shore St. Margaret's and Stephen Ellis in Cumberland Colchester both lost their seats. D'Entremont said issues in the fishery are what won it for him.
But that far and beyond is the number one issue, and one I think that we're going to have to work on over the next bit of trying to find partners to understand this issue.
Acadianapolis has a history of flipping back and forth between Liberals and Conservatives, but D'Entremont has now kept it blue for 3 consecutive elections. When you count his provincial bids, he's run 8 times and he's never lost. But he says this time it was a tighter race than he was used to. Why do you think he has been able to win so many times in a row around here?
I don't know, because he lives on the French shore and I live near Annapolis Royal, so I don't know what he does.
Well, he represents us well, I think. Even though he's not in government, he still does his best. I like him, and he's concerned about the fishery, which is very important here.
On election night, D'Entremont was focused on his win and his riding. But in a follow-up interview the next day, he waded into a bigger political conversation. There is an apparent rift between Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and Progressive Conservative Premier Tim Houston. D'Entremont says federal and provincial Tories would be wise to align themselves more closely.
There just seems to be always that question of whether we're actually the same kind of Conservative, and really doesn't matter what kind of Conservative you are. We're a bigger tent sometimes than what maybe some of the other mainstream parties are, but we all have the same issues at heart, and I think we should be working much closer together.
D'Entremont was deputy speaker for the last parliament. He says he hasn't decided if he wants the job again. Taryn Grant, CBC News, Digby.
Liberal newcomer Jessica Fancy Landry, a school teacher, defeated Conservative Rick Perkins in South Shore St. Margaret's. Fancy Landry says voters were concerned about the future of the fishery in the riding, but she says they wanted someone to unify the region.
The secret sauce to our campaign was unity and trying to unite communities and empower them. And I felt like that really resonated with people in a time when, our nationalism is rising for the good or bad of Trump. It's really united us.
Elsewhere in the province, Liberal Alana Hurtle narrowly defeated Conservative incumbent Stephen Ellis in the riding of Cumberland Colchester.
The Liberals also won all 5 of the ridings that make up the Halifax Regional Municipality. 2 rookie MPs will be headed to Ottawa with 3 incumbents. The CBC's Haley Ryan has that story.
It was a Liberal sweep in the Halifax municipality on Monday night as the party held on to all their seats in the capital region. 2 rookie MPs will join 3 Liberal incumbents headed back to Ottawa. How are you feeling right now?
Amazing. A bit overwhelmed. It's a bit surreal. Everybody's excited, as you can hear.
One of those first-time MPs is former Bedford South MLA Breton Clark. He won the riding of Sackville-Bedford-Preston, which was held by Liberal Daryl Sampson for the past decade.
To run and win as an MP is like I say, it's surreal. It hasn't really hit me yet, I guess, but it's really exciting because I think it's a really important time to be involved, and I'm proud to be doing it.
It was an election largely influenced by the trade war with the United States and President Donald Trump's comments about Canada becoming the 51st state. Candidates around the municipality say it came up again and again.
I said it early in the campaign, and I still believe that the number one thing that I heard was who is the adult in the room, who can deal with Donald Trump.
Fisher won his 4th term for Dartmouth Cole Harbour. First-time politician Shannon Miedema won the riding of Halifax. She was the municipality's former Director of Environment and Climate Change. Miedema says cost of living was also top of mind for most voters.
It's hard to get by in the run of a day for a lot of people, and it's fair for them to turn to anger or to look for something new. What I've heard is that a lot of people think that the change in leadership with the Liberal Party is enough of that change.
The Halifax seat has been empty since September, when Andy Fillmore stepped down to run successfully for Mayor of Halifax. Sean Fraser held on to his seat in Central Nova. His riding covers most of the Eastern Shore in Halifax. Lena Metledge-Diab won a 2nd term in Halifax West.
I believe we as Canadians all now need to pull together, regardless of the number of seats that each party gets, in order that we be unified and speak in one voice and protect our identity as Canadians.
Haley Ryan, CBC News, Halifax.
Meanwhile, despite significant changes to boundaries, 2 Liberal MPs in Cape Breton held on to their ridings Monday. Kyle Moore reports.
Despite significant changes to boundaries, 2 Liberal MPs in Cape Breton held on to their ridings. Mike Kellaway celebrated with supporters Monday night after being elected in Sydney Glace Bay.
I think this was an election that people were very much up on the issues, whether it was tariffs, Donald Trump, affordability, and they wanted to play a role. So an increased volunteer base. We've always run campaigns positively.
It was the same result for Kellaway's Liberal colleague Jaime Batiste, who won in Cape Breton-Canso-Antigonish. It was an emotional night for him. His campaign manager and best friend died of a heart attack just before the election was announced.
I think he's still here with me in spirit, and he would have wanted me to keep going. And so despite, grief, sense of loss, not knowing if I could do it without him, we persevered.
It's been more than 40 years since Cape Breton had a Conservative MP. Alan McMaster was elected 4 times at the provincial level and was a former cabinet minister, but finished runner-up to his Liberal counterpart, Batiste.
Surprised. I would have expected communities that were being affected by events in this election to be a little more in favor of what I was offering. But it is what it is, and the people have decided, and I gave them an option, and they wanted something else.
Conservative candidate in Sydney Glace Bay, Anna Manley, would not do an interview on election night, saying she'd rather spend time with supporters. The electoral boundaries in Cape Breton were redrawn prior to this election, but Kellaway says the issues remain the same.
This is an urban riding for all intents and purposes, with some enclaves of rural. So there were some issues that might be a little bit more different in intensity than in rural, but they're very similar. Affordability, housing shortages are very much a rural issue as it is an urban issue.
The results came in quick, with CBC News calling both ridings after 10 p.m. on Monday night. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
And to the weather now, here's Ryan Snoddon.
And some warm temps in parts of the province.
Yeah, that's right. Away from that Atlantic coastline, the wind from the south today. And so, yeah, it was cooler in the south and milder in the north. But as we look ahead to Wednesday, it's going to be more of a widespread warmth that will all tap into the temperatures that are going to be in at least into the mid-teens, if not into the high teens, and even 20 degrees likely in many parts of the province, especially towards the north midday and then towards into the afternoon along the south part of the province. And again, it's going to be a little bit variable as to when we'll peak in terms of those temps, because we will see the winds shifting throughout the day. It's southwest wind overnight, some showers, even a risk of a rumble of thunder overnight into Wednesday morning as this front passes through. Now, Wednesday afternoon, as the front clears, we're going to be seeing, yes, the skies clear, the sun breaking in, and the winds shifting to northwest. And as they do, temperatures will drop a little bit. First for northern areas, and then eventually towards the Atlantic coastline late afternoon, but we'll all again see a pretty good day. Some sunshine back on tap for Thursday. Things clouding up towards the weekend, but not a washout. We'll break it down with your full forecast coming up.
All right.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
In light of recent cases of school violence, the Department of Education has officially released its updated Student Code of Conduct. The code will be implemented in all Nova Scotia public schools starting in September. The CBC's Selena Alders reports.
Public school students in Nova Scotia can expect to follow a new code of conduct starting at the beginning of next school year. This is the first time the policy has been updated in 10 years.
In the past, we had a short policy that listed some things that may happen in schools and some things that may want to do to respond. Quite honestly, it wasn't cutting it for the incredibly hardworking staff in our schools.
The department says it will provide clearer direction for school staff on how to handle and respond to unacceptable behaviors.
The goal is consistency. I think students really need to know what consequences are, and if they feel that there aren't any, things can happen. So clarity for students, clarity for teachers, I think is a good step.
Administrators will be given a guide to help determine how students are disciplined depending on their age and the impact of the incident. All staff will be expected to report incidents, and the Department of Education will begin tracking that data on a quarterly basis.
We would be looking at it in terms of classroom supports and trends that we're seeing around interventions, and we would go from there. So it'll give us a whole lot more information around how to customize responses.
The code was supposed to be released back in March, and there was growing frustration around repeated delays. The teachers' union says many of its concerns were addressed in the document, but it will all come down to how it's implemented.
If this government is serious about implementing this policy and seeing an improvement in the safety of our school, then they can make it happen.
The Department of Education says next steps include training for teachers and staff to familiarize themselves with this new code of conduct. They say work is also underway in other areas to improve safety for staff and students in all Nova Scotia public schools. Selena Alders, CBC News, Halifax.
Police allege that a man from Sabaganagati First Nation hit a fisheries officer with a car as the officer was attempting to carry out an inspection early Saturday morning. RCMP say the 36-year-old was arrested near Highway 7 in Smith's Settlement. Police say the fisheries officer, who was not injured, was attempting to conduct an inspection at Eel Pond when a man driving a vehicle hit the officer while he was telling the driver to stop. The driver has been charged with assault with a weapon.
Halifax Water is delaying its maintenance work at their Dartmouth Wastewater facility by a week. The work will now start on May 5th and continue until June 2nd. During that period, up to 4 million cubic meters of wastewater will be released into Halifax Harbour. The utility says the work is required to comply with regulations. They're advising the public not to swim in the harbour while the work is taking place.
Northumberland Ferries is now under an operational review by Transport Canada. In January, Canada's then Transportation Minister ordered the review after a troubled season with frequent interruptions. The service between Wood Islands, PEI, and Caribou, Nova Scotia is being evaluated through an independent recruitment firm. The ferry's general manager says the company is very involved in the process.
Our CEO has met with the folks that are conducting the review. We're opening our books, we're opening our processes and procedures. We're very confident that there's stuff to learn, but we're also very confident we've done a lot of hard work over the last 2.5 years getting us to this place, and we're looking forward to the review and see what we can learn out of it.
Transport Canada says the review is expected to be completed by July. Well, a hockey rink on Cape Breton has a new name.
And it finally welcomed players to the ice. The Kehoe Forum, located at CBU, will be the new home ice for Blizzard Hockey. It's an organization that has 400 female players and has seen rapid growth in recent years. The group has struggled to find ice time for games and practices, but the new rink will give them more access.
It will also be fully accessible, meaning the rink can be used for sledge hockey. Players say it marks a milestone for female hockey on the island.
Well, the girls had quite a bit of a cathartic moment stepping on their ice. It was like you could see them stepping on and go, like as if that was like a special moment. We even recreated our poster from Hockeyville out on the center ice because we had last stood there and it was a derelict building, and now we're standing there on brand new ice in a brand new facility, and it was a pretty special moment for everybody.
Renovations are still ongoing, but officials hope the rink will be fully open this fall.
There's a look at beautiful Digby at the wharf. Ryan's up next with the weather forecast. We'll see you after the break.
All right, you heard it earlier. Sun in the forecast, that always makes people feel better, doesn't it?
I know, and you add that with the warm temperatures?
Yeah, tomorrow, a good many of us are going to be at least flirting with 20. Some of us getting lucky, and so it's going to be a pretty nice day for this time of year. I mean, if you can get 20 in April, that's a solid day.
You're ahead of the game.
You're ahead of the game, that's right. So let's have a look at where we are right now. And this is a nice, beautiful shot, live scene, web video from Nova Scotia webcams, of course, and this is Lower Truro, and what an evening there. Those chairs, they're just not being used.
They're calling out to us.
Maybe tomorrow with the warm temperatures, right?
Yeah, that's right. Although by this time, temps will start to fall in that area, but will still be nice. High temperatures, you can see where the warmth today was in the valley. We got to 21 in Greenwood, 19 at Amherst, 15 at Antigonish, and you can see 18 in through the Kedgie and Kentville areas. And note the single digits along that Atlantic coastline. And even at this hour, it's down to like mid-single digits. And that fog monster is starting to loom there as well. That's going to be rolling its way inland a little bit. We'll see some fog patches tonight, some showers. Those winds from the south near 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, gusting 40 to even close to 50 in a couple of spots there. And so, yeah, we will be, sorry, my eyes are bad. That's a 41, not a 49 in through Amherst as I approach the screen here. But yeah, gusting upwards of 40 kilometers per hour in a few spots. Now, as we look at the weather system, so this is the front that's been draped across Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick today with a few showers. And this will start to roll in with a chance for showers, though light. Certainly the risk is there for Cape Breton as we move through the next couple of hours, and then we'll all get into a chance for showers overnight tonight and even a rumble of thunder as this frontal boundary starts to approach overnight into tomorrow morning. And we are looking at that area of high pressure to follow it up with some still seasonal air, but not quite as warm as it will be into the warm sector of this system, which is on the way for tomorrow. Okay, so mild temperatures tonight, and indeed that chance for showers in through Cape Breton, despite what the icons are showing here. We'll show you the timeline and that best chance for showers with those light winds. And note the mild temperatures, a much different story than it was to start this morning. And so, yeah, slight risk for a shower in Cape Breton. You can see the model not really picking that up. There's that chance for showers, though, really marching in overnight into Wednesday morning. And you can see it's western, central areas. Make sure you've got the umbrella handy for Wednesday morning. You can see how temperatures are going to be mild in the southwest winds, which will be sustained near 20, gusting to 30 kilometers per hour. Note by lunchtime, and this is when we'll start to see the clear out, and there's going to be a couple of hours where it's just going to be that sweet spot. The showers are gone, the skies will clear, the temperatures will still be mild before that northwest wind starts to usher in that cooler air. So I think we're peaking temperature-wise in the valley and towards the north around lunchtime or early afternoon. With that southwest wind, not quite peaking yet in the Atlantic and along the Atlantic coastline, but note into the afternoon as the winds shift to south, temperatures will fall through the valley in the north. This is when I think we'll hit our peak high in through Halifax and down towards, well, Port Hawkesbury and the South Shore region as well, and staying quite mild even into the late afternoon there as those skies clear. I do think temperatures will peak around 17 to 18 degrees in through Cape Breton tomorrow, and Antigonish near 20. Bit cooler cancel there in those onshore winds. I do think they will be a factor there. Temperatures, high teens, low 20s for most of central areas. Bit cooler in the onshore winds, Musquodoboit, but again, favorable setup once the wind shifts to northwest. And you can see in through the western areas as well, high teens, low 20s, mid to high teens, we'll say, and even a couple of 20s. There's a chance for a flurry. Yes, how dare I with that language this time of year. Thursday morning for the Highlands, and then into the afternoon things will clear out. But other than that, Thursday looks like a really, really nice day. But that just gives you a sense of how much cooler the air will be on Thursday. Highs in the mid-single digits for Cape Breton. Will climb nicely through the mainland. The North Shore struggling a little bit, but most of us into the 12 to 15 range. The clouds are going to build in for Friday. We've got some shower chances rolling in for Friday, and you can see as we turn the page into Saturday, some shower chances. Yes, for Saturday, but some sunshine too. I think that's going to be the pick of the weekend. Tom and Amy.
All right.
He
Thanks
used
for
the
that.
F word, didn't he?
I know.
Did.
Terrible.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Coming up, Central Nova MP-elect Sean Fraser shares his thoughts on what will be different about the new Liberal government. Sean Fraser is MP-elect for Nova Scotia. Congratulations to you. What a night.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back on the show.
Quite a night for you, quite a night for the country. You, in particular, on a roller coaster with the lead and you're riding, flipping until you won it. I'm curious what kind of night it was from where you were sitting.
Look, we watched the results come in with our family at my place before we headed down to join a team of volunteers when the election call was finally made. Obviously, it was neck and neck through most of the night, but we had confidence in our team because of the effort that we put in, knowing we were going to perform well on those advanced polls. So despite the fact that there was a back and forth, we felt good about it, but it's a little nerve-wracking going through an election. Anybody who tells you otherwise is probably making it up. But I just want to give a huge compliment to our local opponent, Bryson Jenkins, a real nice guy, and to everybody who came out to support one candidate or the other. This is what democracy is all about.
So we haven't had a lot of time, but what do you think this election says about the mood of Canadians?
Well, look, I think primarily that they're focused on a very important issue, and that's the economic threat that President Trump's economic attacks against Canada represents. It also says that people have very different visions for the path forward. But I think what's important for those of us who are fortunate enough to have been elected to remember is that though people may have a different vision, we shouldn't question their loyalty or commitment to this country. People from different partisan backgrounds are dealing with very similar challenges around housing, around healthcare, obviously around the impact of these tariffs on our economy. And we would do well to listen from people with different voices, different perspectives, to make sure we're taking every opportunity to learn from one another. And I'm hopeful that we can park some of the toxicity we've seen in recent years and move forward with solutions that are designed to help everyone, regardless of which party they support.
And so what do you think the mood will be like in Ottawa to get things done? What has changed to make that change?
Well, look, it's going to be very interesting. We're walking into completely new territory. This is going to be a chamber that is dominated by the two major parties. Obviously, there are other parties represented in the House as well. But the dynamic will also shift as there's clearly questions that will be asked both about the NDP leadership, with Mr. Singh choosing to step aside, and with the Conservatives not having their leader actually in the House, given that Carleton went to Bruce Fanjoy. This is going to create for an unpredictable dynamic. I expect that people will want to rally the troops, but my hope is that we're going to be able to focus on solutions that will achieve cross-partisan consensus wherever possible. It's going to be an interesting experience. It's going to be different from any parliament that I've had the privilege to serve in to date, but I'm very much looking forward to it, and I feel we have an opportunity to move forward in a way that really focuses on problems more than politics.
Yeah, and so given the controversial times that you allude to there that we live in now, how important is it for the government to get quickly back to Ottawa, pass a budget, and start to address the U.S. trade war?
Look, I think it's important that we get to work right away. The precise measures that we will be looking at in order to support Canadian workers and Canadian businesses who may be impacted may or may not require Parliament to be sitting. There's an awful lot that the government can do through orders in council that doesn't necessarily demand legislative change. But I do anticipate that we're going to have to get to work on certain budget measures that will be designed over and above of what exists on the shelf. But that's a conversation that will play out over the next few weeks. Obviously, the Prime Minister will first have to establish a new ministry, and shortly thereafter, I expect we're going to find ourselves back in Ottawa working for our constituents at home. So
how will the government be different compared to Trudeau's and governments you've served in the past?
Well, take a look at Mark Carney. He is a different person with a different focus. I think you'll see that there is a unique focus on economic issues. Obviously, he's one of the most respected voices in the world when it comes to the issues surrounding the management of national economies and managing economic crises in particular. This is going to be a government that focuses on nation building, building major projects in order to grow the economy, building housing at a pace that we've not seen to help people both get into the market, but also help the more vulnerable members of our community who can't afford to keep a roof over their head. You're going to see a unique focus on jobs and the economy. And I think though we still very much believe in a healthy environment and social values around equality and supporting marginalized populations, job number one is to protect the Canadian economy. And I think that we've got the guy to do it in our leader's office, who's, of course, Prime Minister Mark Carney.
It is a tall order. I ask you partly in jest, are you glad you came out of retirement?
Yeah, look, it's a tremendous opportunity to serve. Even when I made the announcement that I would be stepping away in December, the job is something I always wanted to do. I've got a new confidence, having had a conversation with the Prime Minister about my ability to not just be a good member of Parliament, but to be a present and engaged father and husband as well. It's important that we're able to balance these priorities. And in the conversation that I shared with the Prime Minister and what he repeated the day after in front of the national media, he sees value in having people who are actually going through the process of raising kids, participating in the decision-making process around the table in government. So I'm very much looking forward to supporting the work that he's doing while taking the perspective of my constituents to Ottawa, while at the same time making sure that the people who rely on me most, my wife and kids, get their fair share of me too.
All right, we'll leave it there, Sean Fraser. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure. And to all those who took part by casting your ballot, I know that you've done your country a great service. It's an honor to serve. Thank you very much for having me.
Coming up, U.S. President Donald Trump marks 100 days in office with a rally in Michigan, a state hit hard by his tariffs.
And what we know about the victims and suspect of the deadly attack on a Filipino street festival in Vancouver. Welcome back. As we told you earlier, CBC News is projecting a Liberal minority government.
Ashley Burke has the latest on what's being called the biggest reversal of political fortunes in modern Canadian history.
After a long night and not much sleep, the Prime Minister arrived at his office.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney.
Getting back to work fresh off his election win that seemed unimaginable just a few months ago.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
Mark Carney tapped into the threat of Donald Trump to help dramatically reverse his party's fortunes.
Mon gouvernement va travailler.
He campaigned up until the last minute, asking for a strong mandate, but came up just shy of a majority.
After this most consequential election, let's put an end to the division and anger of the past.
Carney's calling for Canadians to unite to take on Trump.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bruce Fanjoy says the U.S. president changed the race. It helped him secure the second biggest victory for the Liberals.
It's a remarkable story, this race in Carleton.
500 volunteers helped him beat Pierre Poilievre, unseating the Conservative leader for the first time in 20 years.
They recognized that we faced this threat and focus on who is best able to lead Canada through this moment.
Liberal Stephen Guilbeault says just months ago he thought the party would lose and says a win is a win.
I think it is more complicated in a minority government, but it doesn't mean that things can't get done. And I think now, by the looks of it, we would have two dense partners.
Marcy Sirk says the Liberals could still come up with creative solutions to cobble together a majority by trying to get NDP members to join their party or work with other parties on a case-by-case basis.
We like majorities because they're neat and tidy, but this is a very strong minority by any account. So the Liberals absolutely can govern in this circumstance.
The Prime Minister's office says Carney spoke to Trump today, and the U.S. president congratulated him on his election, and that the two leaders agreed on the importance of working together as independent sovereign nations and agreed to meet in person in the near future. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
And the U.S. president is marking his 100th day in office by holding a rally in Michigan. And when it comes to his performance thus far, rallygoers are giving him an A+. The CBC's Paul Hunter reports.
Yeah, make no mistake, these are hardcore Trump supporters. I made my way to the front of the line when we first got here and chatted with people who'd been here since Sunday in line, waiting to catch a glimpse of, to cheer on Donald Trump. This being the 100th day of this Trump presidency, 100 days being the traditional time for a report card on any president. And so Trump is on the minds of everyone here today, and that means tariffs, prices, jobs, the economy in this country, Trump's style of governance, and yes, that means Canada. Here's a sampling of what we heard. Donald Trump, 100 days, report card, go.
Oh, I love it. 100 days, what he's done. I like the tariffs because maybe it's going to be a little rough for us right now, but for my 4 grandkids and the generations after, I believe it will be good for them.
Prices are going to go up. Is that the right approach to take?
I think the approach to take is to look at the long-term goal. All right, so if we have tariffs on imports from China, for instance, we're paying a short-term price. The long-term price of not having an economic policy that brings jobs and production back into the United States is much greater than any $15 surcharge on your Temu order or wherever you're ordering from China. So this is a little bit of short-term turbulence to begin the process of reshoring American jobs.
USA! 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 Canada needs to pay attention to who they're dealing with. I mean, everything that they have, we make right here at home in America. We don't need them as much as they need us, so they need to be a little more respectful as to what's going on. All Trump wants to do is even the playing field.
The vehicles that are being sold in the United States, we want to build them here in the United States, and that's what Trump's trying to do.
51st state. Do you take that seriously?
Well, if the Canadian people wanted to do it, what Trump's doing on that issue, he's campaigning. Your taxes would probably go way down, and your national defense would probably go way up. So you guys decide.
100 days in, 3 years, 9 months to go. Say many that we talked to, if they had their way, even longer. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Macomb County, Michigan.
Authorities in BC say the man accused in the deadly vehicle attack in Vancouver was under the care of a mental health team, but there were no signs he required involuntary hospitalization. The 30-year-old suspect is facing several counts of second-degree murder after 11 people were killed when an SUV drove into a crowd Saturday night. Georgie Smythe reports.
We're beginning to learn more about some of the 11 people who lost their lives in an alleged attack at a Vancouver street festival last weekend. That includes the Lee family. Lynn Huan, Richard Lee and Katie Lee were killed just as they were departing the festival, leaving their 16-year-old surviving son who stayed home to do his homework. I spoke to Richard's brother, Tone Lee, about how his young nephew is coping.
I think he's still in a state of shock and he's still processing everything. His entire life just changed overnight.
Lee says he's speaking so other families can grieve in private.
We're just one of many families that are going through this experience, and it's a senseless violence to innocent people, and as a society we have to be better.
We also got an update from the VPD on other victims killed and injured. 9 of the deceased are women, 2 are men, all lived in Metro Vancouver. 7 people are still critical in hospital, 3 others are in serious condition. The accused, KG Adam Lowe, has been charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder after allegedly driving an SUV into a crowd of people at a Filipino festival. More charges are expected soon. Sergeant Steve Addison from the Vancouver Police Department also confirmed the accused did have an interaction with police in a neighbouring jurisdiction the day before the alleged attack.
That contact was not criminal in nature, and it did not rise to the level where mental health intervention was required.
Lowe remains in custody and will be back in court on May 26. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
On day 2 of the sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players, a London, Ontario court saw videos of the team partying at a bar. As Katie Nicholson reports, they show the moments the accused players first encountered the alleged victim in the case.
Today was all about the hours before the alleged sexual assaults, as court watched videos and images taken from the bar where 2 worlds first intersected, that of the players and of the then 20-year-old woman known only as EM. Former World Junior hockey players Michael McLeod, Cal Foote, Dylan Dubé, Alex Formanton and Carter Hart are all charged with sexual assault, and they have all pleaded not guilty. London Police Service Detective Tiffany Wakay stood in the witness box as court watched multiple surveillance videos collected by police from the night of June 18, 2018, including inside Jack's bar. They showed EM arrive with a friend, take money out of an ATM and buy drinks. The videos also showed the team arrive and eventually McLeod and EM interacting at one of the bars in the club, drinking and dancing. There were also videos shot by some of the players that night, capturing an exuberant team singing and dancing. This case, however, hinges on what may have happened next, after McLeod took EM to his hotel and had sex with her in room 209. The Crown says McLeod invited teammates to the room to engage sexually with EM without her consent. The Crown says he sent a text saying, "Who wants to be in a 3-way? Quick, 209, Mikey." The proceedings were derailed by a number of technical glitches and overbearing heat in the courtroom, which put a pause on proceedings and delayed expected testimony from a number of other witnesses, including other players from the team. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, London, Ontario.
Canada's best blind hockey players say the sport is becoming more popular. They say they'll play the larger puck that makes the noise and the positions depend on the player's level of vision. CBC's Gabriel Gindi has that story.
You would think behind me they're just playing a regular hockey game, but it's slightly different. Blind hockey is getting more attention than ever, and its increasing popularity is inspiring the next generation.
We had our chance now to play for Canada, and we've had our chance to dream, and now it's all about those kids coast to coast who are blind and partially sighted that one day want to play for Canada.
But what's different about this type of hockey compared to what we all know well? For starters, a player's position will depend on their level of vision. So a player who's more visually impaired will play on the defensive side of the puck, while those who are less visually limited will play on offense. And instead of a puck, they use this, a puck that makes noise and is a bit slower than a traditional puck. Players say it's challenging at first, but they catch on pretty quickly.
To go from not seeing the puck 90% of the time to being able to hear it the entire game just changes everything, and it's been incredible, and I'm so grateful for the sport.
In recent years, the sport has grown. Many who play for Team Canada say the sport has increased in popularity over the last decade, playing in 13 cities across North America and Europe.
I thought I was done. I thought I'll never be able to play the game again, and then I discovered a team in Toronto, the Ice Owls, and later we found out about the team in Montreal, Les Éboues, a team in Vancouver, and then we found out about more programs, more teams. We built the community, we standardized the rules, we created one puck and one community.
We want more opportunities for blind visually impaired athletes to come out, try to play hockey just like any old Canadian wants, right?
So whether it's sighted or blind hockey, one thing is for certain. People coming together and playing a sport they love no matter what. And what's more Canadian than that? Gabriel Gindi, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, the Summerside Police Force in PEI has a new member, a four-legged one. Lucy is a canine therapy dog for first responders.
Our CBC colleagues on PEI stopped by the station to meet Lucy and find out more about the work she does.
Lucy is a 9.5-month-old golden retriever, and she is the therapy dog, facility dog for the Summerside Police Department. We put an application in last summer to Canine Therapy for First Responders, CTFFR is the name of the organization, and we were lucky enough to find out in January that we were getting Lucy. She doesn't sniff out drugs or chase down people, but she comes to work with me every day, and she's just an emotional support for all the members and for the community.
She's been with us now, I think about 2 months, and from the time the first day she showed up at work, she had an immediate impact. And she's in training now to become a certified facility dog. So once she finishes her certifications, she'll help support victims through the police investigational process, like sitting through interviews and potentially at some point court appearances as well. And she also provides support to our membership internally here at the police service.
It's amazing just to see how she interacts with the members. Like, her first thing she has to do every day is go to the first floor and say hello to everybody, and give everyone a little hello and a little hug. Since I am her primary handler, I get to see how she interacts with everybody, and it's quite amazing, actually. People will stop us on the street, and some people already know who Lucy is, and it just opens people up a little bit to talking to, especially a police officer. It's not the easiest thing to do. Lucy kind of breaks down those barriers and makes things much easier. She just loves everyone she meets, and when she does meet somebody new, it's the same reaction that she would give me. So she gives everybody that love and comfort. So I get that every day. I'm lucky enough to be able to have that every day, and I'm so thrilled to be able to share her with the office and the community.
Canada's main stock index closed up, along with U.S. markets, in part on hopes of softening of trade tensions. Here's a look at where things closed as we head to commercial break. All right, if you live in the valley, tomorrow you might very well have the pick of the place.
I know, and it was pretty nice there today. So
Yeah, today was the warmest spot for sure. Was Greenwood at 21. That was our official hot spot today. But we're all going to be in that range tomorrow. I think high teens, mid to high teens, we'll put it that way. We'll time it out. I want to show you because the winds are going to shift and things are going to shift a little bit throughout the day. Let's first start with our viewer picture of the day, and we're going to be zooming in to the west. And we've been here before, but we'll go gladly back again to Little Brook.
Lovely.
Michelle, always great pictures from Little Brook, and thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing. Beautiful sky there. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. So there are your temperature highs tomorrow. Many of us in the at least mid-teens to high teens, especially inland, where we'll have our best chance of near 20. Now, you can see the showers. This is Wednesday morning. Note by lunchtime, shower chances lingering for Cape Breton, but the mainland pretty much done. The sky's clear. The winds are still southwest at this point around lunchtime. So that's why we're into the high teens and near 20 for more northern areas. Then into the afternoon, as that northwest wind punches in, the valley starts to fall. Amherst, Cumberland, Colchester, still hanging on to the milder temperatures, though. Cape Breton back towards the Atlantic coastline before that northwest wind ushers in that cooler air. And actually, this latest model update showing Halifax still hanging on to 19 at 5 o'clock. That'll be close, though.
So. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it'll be down to the wire there, but temps starting to fall certainly around that time. Looks like temperatures on Thursday in that northwest wind are going to struggle for Cape Breton into the North Shore. 5 to 8 degrees will be a better chance for 12 to 15 for inland areas of Nova Scotia on the mainland on Thursday afternoon. And we will see some showers rolling in for Friday. Saturday, looking like a chance for showers, but I think some sun breaks too. Better chance the clouds will dominate with some showers on Sunday.
All right, thanks for that, Ryan. Well, a feathered costume helps, but contestants are judged mainly for getting the voice right.
75 points for that pitch-perfect screech and 25 based on the look and behavior.
Here's more from the European Seagull Screeching Championship.
People think seagulls are annoying.
Some people hate them. They see them like rats of the sea. They screech a lot. They make a lot of noise. They leave their droppings everywhere. It's just part of the seacoast. So you need to balance that. We need some more sympathy for the seagulls. Well, we started like 6-7 years ago with less participants. Then it was a Belgian championship. Now it has really grown to a European championship with 14 countries. It's amazing.
I came from Denmark just to win the European Championship in Seagull Sounds. I feel good, I think. I was a bit nervous, but I think it's great. I practiced with tic-tac and I practiced in front of the mirror and in front of the seagulls.
The seagull lives everywhere. The seagull can adjust and be resilient and stay in every environment. That should be the goal of humanity always.
Okay, who's up for it?
Kind of speechless.
I love the commitment. Yeah, I love it.
That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.